Hi guys and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be talking about one of the most important topics in Python, that is data structures. We basically have four types of data structures in Python. First is lists, second is tuples, dictionaries and sets. When you say about data structure is basically a collection of values, and lists are one of the most basic data structure available in Python. So we'll be going more in detail around list in this section. Let's see some properties of list and how do we define a list. Right, so list is defined in the form of represented in the form of square brackets with comma separated values. Right. So you can have any data type present inside a list. Let's take an examples. This is a list where all the values are integers. Another example would be where you can have strings within, right, such kind of examples. There could be a string where you have mixed values, 1 2 3, then you can have Hirsch, right? So this is mix. Now there's no constraint on having only one data type within a string. You can also have list within a string, within a list, basically a nested list. This is a kind of a nested list where you have one list within another list. Right, so since now we are clear with how we define list, basically lists are defined within a square brackets. We will talk about few of the important properties which we should know about lists. So one is it is mutable. What we mean by mutable is basically you can change the values within a list. So imagine if I have 1 2 3, I can transform this into 1 2 and 4. We'll talk about how we can do this, how we can remove elements, add elements, concatenate later on. But yeah, just one thing to remember is that lists can be changed, right? Now let's talk about few of the important properties of list and the various functions which we can use. Let me change the color. Cool. So let's first property is list indexing. Consider a list as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There are two ways of indexing each element. Either you can index from left to right and one from right to left. So always remember, if you are indexing from left to right, indexing always starts from 0. Just like an array where you'll have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. While if you're indexing from right to left, you'll have from -1. So if I want to retrieve 3 from this list L, there are two ways of doing it. I can either do L of 2, which will give me 3, or I can do L of -3. which will give me 2. Now within list indexing, you should also know how do we slice lists into, how can we slice lists? So basically, the syntax for slicing lists, the syntax is basically, so to retrieve any set of elements from list, you can use this syntax where you can have two values, a start index and a end index. So let's take the same example, L of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. Now, if you want to retrieve these three elements, you know that this is zeroth element, this is first element, this is second, third, fourth, and fifth. And if I do from negative, this is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, and minus 6. So always remember, whenever in this index we have a start index and end index, start index is always included, while end index is excluded when we are retrieving data, right? So if I'm doing L of if we want to retrieve 3, 4, and 5, we will start with the second index and end it with 5 index. Then only these three values will be included, right? So it will be 2 and 5. This will give me 3, 4, 5. And if I do vice versa for with using negative index, I'll start with minus 4 colon minus 1. This will give me 3, 4, 5. So yeah, now we have covered two basic things, that is how to index a list and how do we slice a list. Third property which we'll talk about is concatenation. Concatenation. List concatenation is basically how can we add two lists. So imagine if I have list L1 as 1, 2, and 3, and if I want to, and another list is 4 and 5, I need a list which is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There are two, three ways of doing list concatenation, but I'll just talk about the first simple way and then we'll talk about additional methods later on. So the best way to do is we can directly add these two lists, basically L1 plus L2. What it will do is, this is similar to any string operations what we do in Python, where we can add two elements and directly it concatenates, right? Cool. Moving on to the next property of lists. Let's talk about membership. It's one of the most important properties you will be using later on when we'll learn more complex concepts and data handling using pandas. So basically, if there is a list and you want to check whether a particular element lies within a list or not. So imagine the question is whether 3 is a part of this list or not, right? So you can directly use syntax as 3 in L. Now what it will do is it will return a boolean expression, right? So if you print it, if 3 is in L, you'll get a yes. You'll get a 1 or a 0, right? And you'll be able to print it out, right? So this is how membership function works. Basically, it will check whether this value is present in this list or not. In operator is more than enough using this case, right? Now let's discuss another operation which is called as append function. This is one of the most important function which will come across in lists, right? So basically append function, what it does is basically if you have two lists like your L1, 2, 3 and 2 as 4 and 5, and if I do L1 dot append L2, the output here would be 4 and 5. Basically what it does is it basically appends this L2 element in list L1 as a whole. Basically always append will increase the size of list by 1. So basically if anything you're appending to a list of L1, the new size would be equal to old size of the list where the elements have been appended plus 1, right? If there were 7 elements here, 7 elements would be present inside this list. So basically append is creating a nested list here. Hope it's clear. There's another function which is called as uh, extend, which is on similar lines. So if it was L1 extend L2, what it will do is it will iteratively add elements. Here 4 and 5 will be iteratively added and not single added. So basically the new size of the list would be L1 plus L2. Here's a new size. So let's write down those differences once. One is extend, another is append. The new size s of new is equal to s old plus 1. Here s new is equal to s1 plus s2, right? Both the list sizes. Second is extend, sorry, I have to just change this. This is append and this is extend. Right now, second part here is it adds second list as a whole. Here it works iteratively. Addition happens. Right? Cool. I guess these were the few operations in list which we can do. Let's see some other functions what we have for lists. Some of the important functions what we have in list is first is delete, second is pop, third is remove, right now fourth we can have as sort, and next is sorted. Right, so let's go in detail around each function quickly. So basically, del is used to it's used to delete any element in a list. Delete any element in list. So basically, if I have a list as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and if I want to delete the second element here, I can just do delete of del of L of 1. Basically, the syntax is you need to pass the index here. So what it will do, it will just go to the first. These are the index values. It will go to the first index and remove this value from here. Right? Similarly, pop function is it basically it pops out the last element from the list. Pops out last element from the list. So basically, if you, for the same list, if you do L dot pop, you do L dot pop, it will remove the fifth element. Let's take an example here. If I do delete of L of 3, basically it will go to the third element 0, 1, 2, 3. So what it will do is the output would be 1, 2, 3, 5. You have removed 4 out of it. Now if I do L dot pop, it will remove fifth 5 from the list. The output will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Similarly, there is a function called remove. Basically, here it's similar to delete, but you can just directly write the value which we want to remove. So imagine if I want to remove 5 from the list, I can directly remove it, and here it's not an index, it's the value which you want to remove. Needs to be removed. Right, now let's finish our first remove as well. L dot remove. 3. So basically what it will do is it will just remove 3 from the list. So what is the difference between delete and remove? Delete, remove. Delete will delete that value, but you need to pass an index. L dot del index is the syntax here, where here L dot remove, you need to pass the value, right? So hope this is clear. Now we'll talk about one of the operations which we missed earlier, that is sorting. So let's talk about sorting of lists. So there are two functions. One is sort. Basically, it sorts the elements in place. Second, sorted. What it does is assigns the sorted elements to a new list. It assigns the sorted elements in new list. And the original list is less left as it is. As it is. So basically what you need to understand here is sort doesn't do assigning operation. If you just want to sort a list and see the output, you can use the sort function. But if you want to assign and store those sorted lists somewhere, you need to use the sorted function. Because if you just do sort, you'll not be able to store that values in a particular list. However, if you want to store those values and do further manipulations on that, you need to use a sorted function, because what it will do is it will assign it to a new list and keep the original list as it is. So, for example, let's take an example. Okay, if you have a list as 5, 7, let me 7, 8. Right, if I do L dot sort, what I'll get output as, let me do as 1, 8, 4, right? So what I'll get output as 1, 4, 5, and 8. Okay. If I do L dot sort reverse equal to true, so this will arrange in the descending order 8, 5, 4, and 1. Right? This is for ascending order, this is for descending order. Now, if I want to assign this, keep this list as it is, but I need to assign this list to something new, so I'll have to use sorted function. So basically, if I do L dot sort here, this is wrong. This is not possible. It will not assign this to a new list. For that, you need to use sorted. So basically, you'll have to do sorted L. What it will do is it will keep L as the same, that is 1, 5, 8, and 4. However, you will be able to get a new list which is in sorted order. Right, so yeah, hope you like this session, and here we have covered almost all the operations in list. We'll be talking about tuples, the dictionaries, and sets in the further section. So yeah, please do subscribe to the channel and